Right, yes. Hello, everyone. I'm Melvyn Davies. So a lot of you will know me in many different ways. I actually work with Anders and the team as part of the Compute Research School, but I'm actually talking here just for a few minutes to introduce the actual data theme. So the Compute Winter Meeting this year has just had a very, very nice talk from Anders Ynnerman, and then the remainder of today is themed with this thing called the data theme. So what is that? So data, then, is a theme, which is a thing that's running at the Pufendorf Institute for Advanced Studies here at Lund University, just down the street. And what themes are, then, is a group of people, in our case 17 core members, drawn from, I think, 7 faculties and the library. And what happens is they get time, and they get the time and the money to spend time together every week at the Pufendorf and interact. There's actually 3 of us coordinating. 3 is a sort of universal number in this talk, all triangles. Myself, but also Monica Lassie and Kalle Åström, and you'll hear from Monica Lassie, who's here somewhere in the audience, later on this afternoon. So 3 of us together coordinate the data theme. We've been running now since the summer, since August, and we run through, the full programme ends in June, but you'll see there's a few things planned beyond that going forward. And we meet on Wednesdays at the Pufendorf Institute for Advanced Studies. So we have 17 core members, but this is an open activity. Okay, so if people are interested, have not heard about the data theme before, check it out on the Pufendorf website or ask me over lunch. People are absolutely welcome to come to our events. We have a data wiki which details all those events, so please do check them out and let us know if you have any questions. 17 core members and other people around it is quite a lot, and so we broke up the work activity in what we called threads, and there's 5 of them. I just want to take a few minutes to explain that, and what we have in the remainder of the day is presentations of those 5 threads. Before I do that, I should just mention again, that with the 17 core members, don't read this, but the point just here simply is that we're drawn really from lots of different faculties, and you can see on the bottom here all our affiliations down here. So we have people from the business school, someone made it from the business school here, drove in through the snow today, welcome Kurt, and we have people in humanities, theology, the library I mentioned, engineering, medicine, science and social sciences. So data, computational things, e-things, spread across the entire community of Lund University. Data is a very broad thing. This is not simply people colliding neutron stars or looking at the galaxy. Indeed, it's medical imaging, it's data, it's sensitive data, longitudinal studies of social things, all sorts of things, virtual Pompeii, a whole load of things, and we're working together, learning from each other, bringing in expertise from different directions to answer challenges which are coming in from different directions. Okay, I did warn you 3 was the number. I'm keen on triangles right now, it seems. So data, if you think what you can do with data, there's sort of perhaps more than 3 things, but the 3 things we're thinking about in the theme at least are the following. You can store data, or rather, you have to store data. You have to think about how you store data. You want to keep the data so people can look at it later. You know, you want it to be accessible, ideally. You want it to be arranged in a sensible way so people can access it sensibly. So storage of data is a challenge, right? It's a real thing we have to think about going forward. Data can be very large, like, for example, LHC, particle physics data, huge data sets, or it can just simply be very complex. We'll hear in a minute about languages that are going extinct, and how do you store a language so that many years later someone can access it and learn it when that language has gone extinct. There's no native speakers anymore. We want to access that. How do you store that as a data structure? So we talk about storage. These are all connected, right? We just heard a really wonderful talk about visualization. So visualization is very important. We are good at looking at things, right? We see things by looking at things, right? And so visualization, as we've just seen very clearly, is extremely important in how we access things from data, how we learn about the universe, things around us, by looking. So visualization is an important part going forward, as we've just seen. And then the other thing is then discovery, and discovery can mean quite a few different things. It could mean simulating things, like my merging neutron stars, but it can also be things like machine learning, artificial intelligence, discovering patterns in pre-existing data in ways that we perhaps can't do otherwise. So all of those 3 things is what we can do with data. So what were the 5 threads then, or are the 5 threads? They have the following. So we have archiving vanishing languages, and Nicole Krusp is here, made it. It will talk about that in a minute. We have visualizing the universe, and Oscar and Matthias will talk about that in a while, where we're basically looking at the universe with the visualization thing. Discovery from the written word. So this is all about the idea that when we write things down, and all of you write things down, together we can discover patterns by looking at all those notes. And so if I can examine those notes, those written documents in an autonomous way, I can discover things, right? If we're all general practitioners, we're all GPs, primary care physicians, and we all have doctor's notes, we might learn over time that when someone presents shortness of breath and a red nose, we don't give them made-up drug B because it's a bad reaction. We might discover that collectively through our notes that we wouldn't individually find. So that kind of thing, discovery from the written word, can be extremely powerful if we can do it in some autonomous way. Catalogue of stellar spectra. This is all about the idea of the challenge of large amounts of data. So if we take a spectrum, we take the light from a star, shine it through a prism, it shows lines, it shows dips in the brightness because of elements in the atmosphere. That's straightforward, and we can look at a spectrum, and there's software out there, we can analyse the spectrum interactively on a computer and measure how deep those dips in the spectral lines are to figure out how much carbon or oxygen or something is in the atmosphere. And that works, and a diligent PhD student can perhaps do even thousands of those over their PhD. But the challenge here now, with lots of data actually connected with the Gaia mission we already heard about, is literally millions or many, many millions of spectra to be analysed, and therefore in an autonomous way. And the challenge here is how to do this, how to teach a computer to analyse millions and millions of spectra in an automatic way, learning about all the sort of things that can go wrong. And finally, thread 5 is a little bit different, and as I mentioned, Monica is going to talk about this later on this afternoon. Thread 5 is really looking at all of us, doing all the other 4 threads. So the idea here is really understanding how we work together, right? So we have people, for example, here, Oksana is in background, is a experimental particle physicist. Her expertise is storing that data from LHC. And so Oksana is working with Nicole on how do you store those vanishing languages. Or, for example, Philip Birkin with Ross Church. So Ross is an astronomer with his spectrum, and Philip Birkin is an applied mathematician, I'll call him, right? And so those two working together as slightly different communities is a challenges because they speak slightly different languages. Mathematics versus astronomy in that case. So what's happening in thread 5 then is we're actually studying, or Catherine and Monica are studying how we work together to understand if we're going to do interdisciplinary work in a meaningful way, how do we take that forward? What are the sort of pitfalls? What are the things to know about, the reflection of that? Okay, so how does all that fit together then? Well, the 5 threads then cast on my triangle. We have one about storage, we have one about the visualization, and we have 2 threads then broadly about discovery, and thread 5 is bringing us all together. I should also mention we have visitors. A key part of the Pufendorf Institute's funding, enabling this all to happen, provides money for visitors. I just briefly mention here, well, you can see the names here. I'm not going to go through all of them. I will actually highlight, though, Michael Witt, who's visiting us from Purdue. If you're sharp, you will notice that the dates here span today, and so Michael is in the audience. So welcome, Michael, again back to Lund. And Michael will be talking, actually, next week at the Pufendorf as part of our programme, and then people are welcome to come along to that. But we have, you can see here, the various expertises of people. It's a key part of the Pufendorf Institute that enable the visitors to happen, and it's a valuable part of our programme. I should just mention also before I close that we have a number of things happening, conferences or meetings. We have the meeting here right now. I don't have to advertise that because you're already here. But we have a number of events going forward. So threads 1 and thread 5, so that's the storage and working together. We have a meeting in here on the 3rd of May. We have a meeting with the T3 and T4 on the 23rd of May, also in here. So that, again, is the basically machine learning type aspects. And then we have an event focused on T2, the visualization, on the 20th of June. And that will actually take place in Lux. Nico D'Alunto there has organised a meeting to do with broadly visualization e-archaeology, and this will happen exactly after that, directly. And again, you're welcome to come to any of these things, talk to us afterwards, look on the data wiki to find out more. And then finally, we're cheating in a sense, we're going beyond our June boundary with the agreement and the support of the Pufendorf, thanks to them for that. We're actually thinking that the whole data theme is going to carry on beyond the academic year. And so we have a meeting really called Plans Going Forward. The meeting title tells you what it's about. And we're holding that at the Pufendorf on the 29th of August. The idea is for all to reflect what we've done this year, how we're going to take the various projects, the ideas forward, the working together forward, and all of these challenges in the triangle. Okay, so very quickly, there's my last slide, and I'm done. So this is the rest of the meeting. Nicole has made it now. So Nicole will be talking in a moment. Thread 1, and then we have thread 2 before lunch. There will be, hopefully, a sandwich lunch in the foyer. We talked to the caterers a minute ago before we started. Obviously, we have some unusual weather here, but hopefully the sandwiches will be here on time. They're doing their best. The tea in the afternoon might be delayed, we were warned. And then after lunch, then we have threads 3, 4, and 5. But do make use of the time over lunch to talk to people. That's the idea of having the sandwich lunch in the foyer and tea and coffee in the afternoon. And on that, I will close and wish you a happy rest of conference. Thank you.